Kevin Penley. Jack, would you take the risk with Paige's injuries and let her in the ring?
No, I would not, and I'll tell you the reason why I would not. Several years ago, when I had my own promotion, Southern Legacy Wrestling, going on, I had a buddy of mine call, and he had a heart attack about a year before. The doctor told him to drop weight. He wound up having stents put in, and he did. He dropped a lot of weight. He looked pretty good. He came to see me, was begging for a job. And I told him, I said, his name was Mike. I said, Mike, I'll make you a manager. I'll make you a commentator. I'll make you anything that you want to do except a wrestler, because I can't take that chance with you. And he didn't want to do it. If he couldn't wrestle, he didn't want to do it. And he went and he found other places that would let him wrestle. And just a few months after he came to see me, he was wrestling up in Tennessee, had a massive heart attack in the ring, and died in the dressing room. Mm-hmm. So, no, when you're talking about somebody's health, their life, I'm sorry. If I come off as a bad guy, I would not let her get in that ring again. There's plenty of jobs that you could give her that she would be fantastic at. Taking bumps would scare me to death as a promoter. I could not, in good conscience, ever do it.
WWE did a live show Christmas night at Madison Square Garden. Bray Wyatt had his first match since his return. Victor, how did it draw?
Well, it wasn't Christmas night. It was last night.
Oh, okay.
You know, they had the pre-tape show on Raw, but they did a live show at Madison Square Garden.
Only a certain amount of wrestling fans. Probably no more than 3 million in the United States, which is sad.
I agree with that.
And very sad. Did you guys see Dax Hardwood pleading to CM Punk, the Bucks, Omega to get along for the sake of wrestlers? Victor Nash, have y'all seen that?
I did see that, and I think that's very admirable of him, you know, to try to mediate just the stupidity of that whole thing. You know, I still lean more towards, I think Punk was more justified in it, but still, you know, the fight never should have happened. Never should have happened.
There is going to come a time when someone gets over there and the Bucks and Omega will have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be jealous of someone else getting over. CM Punk was over. You'll notice Daniel Bryan just told him, said, "Oh, I know I'm getting over, but I'm going to get some heat with this, with the Bucks and Omega. So let me just turn me heel. It'll kill me completely off, but I'll still get paid, and I won't even have to have no problems with it." He was smart. He knew, I'm getting over. I'm going to get some heat. I'll join them, and that's fine. I'll stay way back in the back, and I'll get my $3 million a year or whatever he ends up getting. And you know, it's sad. It's sad. Those three people will keep that company down unless he gets rid of them. Yeah. Rodney, what do you think about that?
Well, I think the only way for AEW to really succeed is if Tony Khan fires himself. I think that he could make a really great change there. It would improve things, certainly get him off these other shows of running his mouth about his product and other people's product. It's amazing. It is amazing. I mean, we can blame CM Punk, we can blame the Bucks, we can blame all that, but it really comes down to Tony Khan. This is the atmosphere, this is the environment that he's created, and he's allowed people to get away with stuff. Nobody would, in their right mind, would do that with Vince. Nobody. No. They knew what would happen. Everybody, well, it's kind of the same thing. They wouldn't even tried it.
They wouldn't have tried it with Bill Watts.
No.
They would not have tried it with Jerry Jarrett. They would not have tried that with Buddy Fuller. They would have not tried that with Rowan.
And with Watts and Buddy Fuller, CM Punk would have never got the money and probably would have never been hired, because Watts, Ole, Eddie Graham knew that the future was not him. The future is the ones coming behind him. And so you would be better off investing that money into developing the new talent than it would be to try to go with same old, same old.
I thought Flair's name was Fred Phillips. Who's Fred Phillips?
His birth name at birth was Fred Phillips. He was adopted by his parents, and they changed his name to Richard Flair. You know, it states that in that documentary, and he couldn't even remember what his real mother and father's names were. They had to bring that up to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that was it." And it also revealed that just a few years ago, he found out that he had a legitimate half brother, same mother, and that the brother had reached out, and Rick did not want to meet him, did not want to know anything about him. And in typical Ric Flair fashion, he said he probably just wanted to meet me because of who I am. And I'm thinking, well, if he wanted to meet you for who you are, he's going to be very disappointed.
Kevin Finley just talked about that too. I just noticed that when I clicked on it. I have a question for you. Is it true Ric Flair never wanted to wrestle Adrian Street? I guess he afraid Adrian to beat him.
Legitimately could.
Well, it's not possible for Rick to have that same match with Adrian. And of course, that would have thrown Rick completely off, and he would have been unable to do anything except lay in the corner in the fetal position and suck his thumb.
Well, there's no doubt that Flair could go. He could go, but Adrian would have run circles around him.
It would have been a completely different match that Rick. He was just not accustomed to doing at that point at all.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Chono left Continental Wrestling because of Adrian Street.
Sure did.
He came to us and said, "Nah, all the stuff that they were doing, I don't want to do that." He said, "But I'm not going to wrestle. I don't want to do that comedy stuff." He said, "No, no comedy."
And for all practical purposes, he had a point.
Yeah. We like Adrian Street, but we did not agree with him being brought back.
Well, what did we? Well, and that was the one thing, and I'm going to say it, and of course, as you know, here we go. Not only did Ric Flair have the same exact match, but so did Adrian Street. Okay, I'm going to be brutally honest. The same match, pinch the referee, do the skip, grab the arm, do the rollout, stand up, do the whatever. Same exact match, every single set on the arm, make it look like a big gigantic, something from Mandy Rose. And it was, I'm sorry, it was the same exact match over and over and over again. I just have to be really honest.
We felt like in the wrestling business in 1989, we felt like that we wanted to use Jerry Stubbs, but we wanted to use Jerry Stubbs in a different light. We were going to actually have the first evil clown. And the evil clown was going to be Jerry Stubbs. And I think we were going to call him Invincible. He was going to be called the Invincible Jerry Stubbs. And he was going to lose a match where he had to be a clown. But then he just kept on being one. And we felt like that would have. We wanted the New Nightmares. We had a lot of things that we wanted to do there. But Robert Fuller came in and messed up the whole situation. So I just want to.
All you had to do is say, as Robert Fuller came in, everybody realized it was on this.
Hey, Rodney, any words of wisdom for MJF when I see him in Seattle next week?
Well, I was thinking about him today. I was thinking about Mr. MJF and how he wants the older wrestlers to die. Just go ahead and just pass on. There's a problem with that, MJ. Who in the world are they going to get to put on the cards to draw when you're on the main event? Seriously. I mean, how much do you think Tony's going to have to pay them to come in and work with you? Because, quite frankly, they don't know who you are. And honestly, they don't care who you are. And the fact of the matter is, if Tony doesn't sign the check, they're not showing up. And I'm sure that's because of your great championship reign. It's just stellar. And those ratings just skyrocket. So yeah, tell him how much that those other older wrestlers that he wants to die, how much that he wants to get Tony to pay them to come in and work with him, because that's the only way they'll ever work with him.
And actually put him over. Let me ask y'all this question.
Why would you even do that? My question, another question I want to ask for all of tell me, what's the most prestigious title right now in wrestling, would you think? Or in the sports entertainment? What would you think it is?
I think it's that belt you got back behind you there.
It's possibly right. But the fact of the matter is, you watch these shows. I mean, seriously, does any one champion stand out? Does any one title? If you were like when we were growing up, there was two titles I really want, and that's the Georgia Heavyweight Championship, and then secondly the World Title, but mostly the Georgia Heavyweight Championship. Now I look at these champions, I look at these belts, nothing, not one interests me whatsoever. So I kind of wonder who sets the standard now? Seriously, who is it? Is it Bray Wyatt, who hasn't wrestled but one time since he's been back? Is it him, Bray Wyatt? And maybe it's him. I don't know. It certainly can't be because he wrestles about as much as MJF. About was 7 times. Real world champions wrestle about 300 times, if I'm not mistaken, 300 days a year, while he does 7. And when you can't point at one great match he's had, not one. Maybe he can go against Bray Wyatt. Maybe they'll have one of their stellar matches as well. He can attack the cameraman. That's always good.
Hey, can I ask y'all a question? Is MJF trying to be Steve Austin? Is that who he's trying to be, the modern day Steve Austin?
Who is it?
MJF. Is he trying to be a Steve Austin? He shoots the birds. He tries to do the interviews like a Steve Austin, like he's anti-establishment. Is that who he's trying to be?
I've never seen him. Honestly, I've never seen him.
Steve Austin was anti-establishment.
Yeah.
So I understood when he would say an occasional cuss word. I understood when he would shoot a bird. I understood that. I didn't agree with it, from a professional standpoint, but it was understandable. MJF seems to have built his entire career, especially his ability of gab, simply around cheap heat.
Yeah. Well, I keep hearing about he's this great student of wrestling. How is he a great student of wrestling? Where does that show? Where is it that he's shown? My understanding is he has studied Jerry Lawler.
Now, I have watched him work quite a bit. So this is my take. He's pretty good in the ring. He really is. But he's not better than any other person in that organization. And he should be. If he's going to be the world champion, he needs to stand head and shoulders above everybody else for in-ring ability. And it's not there.
And the fact of the matter is that any champion worth their grain of salt, what any of their worth, has been developed over the years. There was no development. He was given this belt so he would shut up. So Tony would quit listening to him, call him at nights. Hey, Tony, how about putting that belt on me? If you put that belt on me, I'll make your ratings skyrocket. Come on, I don't get what it. Wendy says, okay, well, she's talking about that. My question again, if he was, to me, why denigrate those people, the older wrestlers, if you will, if you're such a student of the business? And the one that I said he supposedly patterns himself as, Jerry Lawler. Quite honestly, the worst world championship match that has ever been put on involves Jerry Lawler. Okay? You just mark them up. The worst ever was this match against Billy Graham. And that was the world's worst title change that's ever been. It's Billy Graham and Jerry Lawler for the great CWA championship, because Jarrett wanted to make him champion, but nobody else did.
Here's the thing. When did he study Jerry Lawler? Did he study Jerry Lawler from 1972 to 1983? Or did he study Jerry Lawler from 1983 on? Because anything past 83, 84, not a very good possession to study him with. Jerry Lawler was good, 1972 to around 84. He was good. But from 85 on, if you're looking at anything Jerry Lawler did, it was walk and talk, and all he did was an interview. But the problem is the people knew what Jerry Lawler could do, but in Memphis he quit doing it, and his matches stopped drawing. So I don't know.
The question I have to ask is that previous world champions, if he wants to be put in the group of being world champions, if you think about it, You put in the Luthez in the ring with anybody, somebody's getting their face rubbed in the match. There's nobody standing in a bar on the side of the street that's going to stand up to Luthez. Can we say the same about MJF? Probably not. You think about Jack Briscoe, you know, he is a great amateur wrestler. He could take anybody down. There's no doubt about his credentials as a wrestler. And so if they put him, the world champion, Jack Briscoe, takes on anybody in the ring, he's going to give him a wrestling lesson. Can MJF do that? Probably not. Yep. Terry Funk, he's a great wrestler as well. Harley Race. I mean, think about it.
Harley Race would hurt you, the whole family.
And in that, does he fit in with the list of great champions? Simply doesn't. He is today's sports entertainer. All mouth, no go. That's just the way it goes, and that's just the way it is. When it comes down to it, can he really wrestle somebody? Probably not. He can talk them to death, but that's about it.
You know, you take a UFC fighter, and within 2 minutes would have him beat.
That's that makes your champion look bad. I mean, simply it makes your champion look bad. And I think Bill Watts had it right. You know, if you get beat in the bar, you're fired. First of all, you shouldn't have been in the bar.
The only person that I saw probably over the last 20 years that legitimate would be Brock Lesnar. I know everybody gripes about, you know, all his time off, but hey, he earned that. You know, you didn't have to see Brock Lesnar every week for him to be a draw.
Remember, Brock Lesnar, when he started, put the wrestling ring up at the what it was called, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yep.
So he wasn't like he was through in there. He actually was one on the ring crew and took the ring. So you know, he did what he needed to do to become a pro wrestler. So why was